Hey, the pavetta rifle. Drop the gun! Oh, shit! I'm hit. I'm okay. But I'm not gonna die.
Welcome to Badges, Bullets, and
Look at this
Blunders. I'm the host, Travis Harless. Before we get started, if you'd like to support this podcast, check out our friends at Slick Sleeve Syndicate. It's just a t-shirt company. Also, check out our partners at Firearms Legal Protection. If you want legal defense fund, it'd be a great place to look. Link is also in the description. Today's guest is my friend, Detective Max. Max has been a detective or been a police officer in California for how long?
It's north of 10 years.
There you go, 10 years. Max, why don't you tell us about yourself? Where are you from? How did you wind up where you are now? And what are some of the assignments you've worked as a police officer?
I've kind of Forrest Gump my way through life.
Mhm.
I come from a small town up north, like near Sacramento. It's
Floating
called-
along all accidental like on a breeze?
Exactly. Yeah. I grew up in a town called Sutter, which has like 32 people in it or something.
Hmm.
And I was always like the world's most okayest person at things,
Hmm.
like without trying very hard. So I really didn't know because I was like just okay at everything. Like most kids, they really excel at football, they really excel at math, and their path is kind of like laid out for them.
Hmm.
I like suffered as just being like 70% okay at like everything. So I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I thought, well, like the Marine Corps has like aptitude tests, so they'll just tell me.
Yeah.
So I did that, and they told me I was supposed to be a computer technician, which was like the worst possible answer I could have gotten.
Mhm.
And then the Marine Corps was kind of fucked up in that it's a really terrifying place to be like if you're any sort of competent
Mhm.
because you recognize just how dangerous your environment is because of the idiots that are around you, and then also you get asked to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And the latter is like the worst part.
Mhm.
Like I don't mind being around like idiots and like smoking and joking, but like having expectations of me, that's where I kind of get
Yeah, those guys are a good time.
yeah. But it was great. So like I knew I was fucked in the Marine Corps like on receiving week.
Hmm.
So like for those of you that are unaware, like so you go to boot camp and the first 1 to 2 weeks are just kind of like this Mod Podge like array of like meaningless activities, like 'cause they don't really know where they're going to put you yet. And then when you actually make it to your platoon during receiving week, you meet your actual drill instructors, and like these are the guys that you're going to spend like the next 100 days with, like becoming a Marine or whatever. And as the week progresses, they teach you more and more. And the way the Marine Corps likes to teach things that you're supposed to memorize is they teach you, they're called ditties.
Mhm.
And it's just like a series of like
Isms.
verbal commands and responses. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like ape noises.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like they grunt at you, you grunt at them, and then to move on. But um
Did
so
you, guys,
one
did you guys do the Hoover?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we did.
We'll talk about the Hoover later.
We were taught this thing called the hygiene ditty, which is like basically you signifying to your drill instructor that like, hey, before he sends you off to bed, you don't have any like nastiness, like no hand or foot fungus or like dental issues or anything. And like I don't remember the actual ditty, but it's like maybe 2 sentences long. It's not very hard. And you flip your hands accordingly based on what you're saying. So they don't really have like a bed set up yet because they just only met you. So they're just in alphabetical order. So my last name starts with D, so I was like 25th or 26th in line.
Mhm.
And they start at A, and they teach this kid this ditty. So like you figure during the teaching process, the drill instructors say the ditty out loud correctly at least one time, right? And maybe 2 times if you ask them to reassure you. So this first kid's been taught 2 times how to say this ditty correctly. Of course, he fucks it up because he's nervous or whatever, and
Yeah.
they yell at him, they scream at him, they take him to the quarterdeck and like smoke him for a little bit and bring him back. Well, like now the second guy. So if you're the second guy, like mathematically, you've heard it said correctly by the drill instructors at least 2 times, and then once correctly by your counterpart who just got smoked.
Mhm.
So like at bare minimum, you've heard this 3 times. So like, okay, maybe there's a margin of errors that still exists because of the whole nervous factor,
Mhm.
but they asked the second guy to do it and he fucks it up. So
So every time they ask him, they repeat it and then they have him do it?
yeah, so like every recruit represents at least one time this ditty's been spoken correctly
Mhm.
because that's how it progresses.
Yeah.
And then you've put on top of that all the times the drill instructors have had to correct them and say it back to them. So like if I'm 26, the 25th guy in line has heard this ditty like no shit like 85 fucking times at this point.
Mhm.
And he fucked it up. So they get to me and I say it correctly because
Yeah.
I'm not a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And
Because you're a genius.
oh, and like so
You're
like
the
I
first
said
one
it
to get it
correctly
right.
and the drill instructors gasped and took like a step back like I'm the obelisk in
Yeah.
fucking Space Odyssey. Like and their first thought was, did you go to fucking college? And I was like, for like 10 seconds. And like, oh, you're the platoon scribe, which is like, I was in charge of writing all the shit down and doing
That's
like,
that's the best job you can
it really
have.
was the best job. I was actually pretty thankful for that. But like, yeah, they associated my ability to memorize a sentence after like 92 renditions with me going to college. I'm like, there's actual animals that can do this too. You don't want to give me what I'm over here. Oh, and then the best part of that story is that the guy after me fucked it up too. So basically,
Fucking idiot.
the platoon has 4 scribes, and all 4 of us were just the guys that didn't fuck this thing up.
Oh, you had 4.
Yeah, we had 4. We were
Oh.
bougie. We had 4.
Yeah, the scribe's the
How
best.
big was your platoon?
It was well, so like the squad bays are built out for 100, but we only had half that. We had like 50 or 60.
Oh shit.
So
What
Mine
month
was
of the year
80.
was it?
was that?
What month of the year was it?
This was May of 09.
That's a weird time to go because most of the platoons pick up like June, July, August, where people graduate high school and they go.
Those are the big ones and shit.
Yeah, those are the big ones. Yeah, because I had like 83 or something like that.
Same. I went in June.
My platoon.
Yeah, so I guess I should. So the prelude to this was I went to college out of high school and I was playing like D3 football at like Claremont McKenna College, which is actually a pretty great place, and I really like squandered that opportunity. But
Which is why
I
you went
like
to the Marine
they
Corps.
made the mistake of telling me like, hey, in college like they don't take attendance, so you can like come or not come. It really doesn't matter to us. So
Yeah.
they're like, you can't give me that kind of rope because I will definitely hang myself.
Mhm.
So I went to class all of like 6 times, and like I also thought it was an awesome idea to take Chinese, which was the only 5-day-a-week class I had, and it was like 7 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
It's fucking horrible. So like I'm nursing hangovers trying to learn Chinese and any sort of dialect at 7
And
a.m.
it sounds Chinese to you.
Yeah.
Wild time.
Cantonese or Mandarin?
Never heard of them.
Taiwanese?
Yeah.
Never heard of her.
I never heard of her. But anyways, that environment was not for me. And like it's a liberal arts college, and I don't really mesh well with like the liberal arts crowd for various reasons. So I made my exit from there by when I say make my exit, I just like unceremoniously just went home and just stopped coming.
Yeah.
And they fixed the glitch later on. Like
Yeah.
they disenrolled me on their own when they realized, oh, this kid hasn't been here. I'm like,
Like I'm not quitting. I'm just not going to go anymore.
yeah, I'm not a quitter. So I go home on Christmas break, and my dad was away. He was I think he was coaching basketball, and they had a tournament elsewhere. So like I'm sitting there and I'm trying to think of like what explanation can I give my dad so he doesn't just royally kick my ass.
Mhm.
Like, oh, you had a scholarship, you just don't feel like going anymore.
Mhm.
So I sat there and I was like, fuck, I need something. And I had like 4 days to figure it out. And I was like, well, he was a Marine back in Vietnam. So I was like, that's it. I'll just join the Marine Corps. Easy. And I go into the recruiting station, and the guy has I feel like I kind of robbed this dude because like they're supposed to give you a spiel, like with like this really meaningful saying. And I was like, no, fuck all that. Like I already know like what I'm gonna do. Just when do I take the test and go?
Yeah.
And they all like most people in my life paint me as an idiot, like that physical appearance. Like they thought some knuckle dragger. So I was like, oh well, let's get you through this ASVAB, and it doesn't kick your ass too hard. We'll be able to give you a job. I was like, okay, well I fucking murdered that fucking thing, which apparently is a really rare skill. But like for those of you that have seen Idiocracy, you see the ASVAB in the movie, like when they're trying to put the shapes in the proper holes.
Yeah.
That's like quite literally what the ASVAB is. And I remember being in the testing room, and like there's a portion of the test where I don't know if it's like a trade secret or something, but like it shows you various shapes, and the points on each shape are labeled with letters. So it's like if you were to take the like point A on this polygon and attach it to point B on this square, what would be the resulting image? And like it's pretty early on in the test, so I haven't like leapt ahead yet. And I look, and I'm not like trying to cheat. I'm like trying to see if this is real life. So I'm like looking at the computers next to me, and the kid next to me is on the same question, and he's losing his fucking mind. Like he's got his hands in his hair, and he's like working on some tears a little bit out of the corner of his eyes. I was like, oh shit. So that should have been my first clue. But anyways, fast forward to the end of that story. I get my score, report back to my recruiting station, and the guy was like, yeah, we can only let you do like 2 things. And he's like, you can either be a computer technician or a UV technician. I was like, well, those both sound really gay. I don't want to do either of those. And he's like, oh, well, you could be open contract, and maybe you'll end up recon. Like, who knows? It's the world's your oyster. I was like, well, that sounds cooler than the other 2, which I found out later that's not a thing at all. Like, basically, it just made it so he didn't have to pay me a bonus, and I still have to do those 2 jobs.
Yeah.
So he bamboozled me pretty hard.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I make it through boot camp, which was a fucking wild ride, and like that's where I coined the phrase, "It's the most fun you never want to have again."
Yep.
It's like the most accurate way to describe boot camp, because like hindsight, it's all hilarious. Like I enjoy the environment. I love being told what to do.
Yeah,
I
because you have to think for yourself. It's
Oh.
nice.
You learn how to you can become a real criminal too. You learn how to like steal.
100, yeah, 100%. So
cheat.
Acquire.
it's like the Agogi, but like a bit more hood.
Yeah. Exactly.
Less honor behind it. So I'm getting through boot camp and like the scribe, I picked up that the scribe's the best job to have because I write the Firewatch schedule
Yeah,
every
you
night,
make the Firewatch schedule, you have all the power.
and you just leave yourself off it, and you get to royally fuck other people over that you don't like.
Well, and you can do favors, and you have power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you also learn like I think I was trying to think of something profound to say like during this podcast. I didn't really think of much, but
Mm.
like I think that leadership, it's not really something that can be taught, but it can be nurtured, and it's definitely nurtured. The best environment to nurture good leadership is the group punishment environment, because like you might be like an organic leader, but like if you're just always kept to your own devices, you don't really have an excuse to lead. But like when getting a group of idiots from point A to point B, that their success in doing so is determined upon your welfare.
Yeah.
Like that makes you actually like lead people and speak
Mhm.
up a little more. And like I kind of painted the picture in my first story that like the spectrum of intelligence in my platoon was not, well, it was very broad, but very few people lived on the far right.
Yeah.
And so I had to get really vocal, which is like the first time in my life I ever had to like impose my will on people.
Yeah.
And it was just purely so I wouldn't get fucked over.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the Marine Corps' definition of leadership is like the guys that will speak up in lieu of getting fucked over by their idiotic brethren.
Yeah. There's and the criminal behavior and like tribalism also that goes on. I was thinking about when I was at the tail end. I was in the last week or two of boot camp, and you know about early chow, late chow, which is the
Mm.
place to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scribe privilege too, I believe.
Yes.
Early chow, late chow is like, so like the whole platoon goes to lunch or goes to each meal together, and they'll select like 3 or 4 recruits will go early to get there and eat really quick so that they can get back, and then the guys that are selected to remain behind or late chow, they'll go after the platoon goes, and then they'll eat and they'll come back. So that way there's always somebody in the barracks like guarding it or whatever activity needs to be done. And I got selected. I was on early chow, and I never got to be early chow to the very end. And I was with this guy named Mares, and he was like this big monster, like a scary person. And yeah, but he was my friend, and he was a good dude. If you were friends with him, right? So we're on early chow. We go and we sit down, and when you're on early or late chow, you don't sit with your platoon because they're not there yet. And so we're there. You're just there with random other people from other platoons that you don't know. So you know everybody in your platoon, obviously. But like we're sitting down at the table, and there's these 2 guys sitting across from us, and they were like 2 weeks behind us in some other company, and we're eating. You have to keep your head down. You don't have to like look up when you eat or whatever. And eating, and Mars reaches across the table and he grabs the bread off of the plate, the tray of the other guy from across us. Just Jackson, straight up like. And the guy goes, "Hey man, what the fuck?" And he goes, "Fuck you!" Like, shut the fuck up, bitch. He's like, "Shut your fucking mouth, or I'm gonna take the rest of your shit." And I'm like, "Dude, we're in prison, like just like,"
Yeah.
and like the guy just like didn't say a word and just kept his head down and just like took his food and just fucking ate it right in front of him.
Dude, it's straight up
And I'm
prison.
like-
It's prison under the guise of national pride,
Yeah.
is what it is. Like, I had to steal bread for a while, and I'm not like proud of it, but at the time I didn't really give a shit. So you talked about early late chow. I couldn't do either one of those because they made me a half ration.
Oh, that's
So
right.
when I picked up in my platoon,
'Cause
like
you were too big.
yeah, the Marine Corps has this stupid rule where like if you're this tall, you can only weigh this much. And like I was built pretty much how I am right now, and that put me well over the limit for like 5'9". So that's not the end of the road. Like you can go get what's called taped out, which is some weird metric where they measure your neck and your waist 3 different times in case they fucked it up.
Hmm.
And then they put it in the math machine and it tells you if you're overweight, like legitimately obese or not.
Yeah.
So I went with like 6 other fat guys from my platoon, and we all got taped out. And I was the only one who passed the tape metric. So when we get back to the platoon, I have the 5 dudes. I'm like, hey, like you guys go check in, go get yelled at, and I'm gonna squeeze by at the end of it because I'm not as in big a trouble as you are. And so they all check in with their height, weight, body fat percentage, and they get smoked. Like they go straight to the quarterdeck. Like, oh, we'll fix this right now, and they
Yeah.
just PT them until they fucking die.
Yep.
And it gets to be my turn, and I look at my drill instructor, and I just go to like walk right by him, and he stops me. He's like, "Where the fuck do you think you're going?" And I said whatever gate shit. I said, "Oh, sir, recruit to daughter taped out with X amount." And he's like, "Oh, you taped out? Well, that's great, man. Hey, good for you. I'm proud of you." But the thing is, I already went ahead and made your half ration tag, and like in my Marine Corps, I don't waste paper.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna put this right here, and he puts it on my sleeve and made me wear it for 3 months, and I lost 47 pounds, which is ironic because I was the only one of those 6 people to lose any fucking weight at all. Like everyone that was a half rat came out just as fat as they were when they checked in.
They're better thieves than you.
And had those birthing hips on them.
Mhm.
But yeah, so when we went to Camp Pendleton for range month, their chow hall it's built better for criminal behavior because there's like those partitions.
Yeah,
And like
that's
the
where
instructors can't
that's where I committed a lot of crime. Yeah.
yeah, they can't see you all the time. So like I go through and get my half, and they do petty shit to the half rations. Like they take the skin off the chicken in front of you, and
Oh
like the
shit.
gristle on like a piece of ham, like they cut it off. Like it's actually way more effort
Hmm.
for them to serve a half ration than like a normal person.
Yeah.
Like you can only have egg whites and all this stupid shit. But they were pretty heavy-handed with their servings in Pendleton anyway, because those chow hall people were like legit. Like they deal with actual Marines, not just recruits all day, so they're just used to serving you like a normal human being. Um, so I saw that they served me like normal food, like the skin was on my chicken still, and like my steak still had fat on it. So I was like, oh, this is where I can get away with some shit. And I was the last person. I would usually be like one of the last people to come out of line, and like everyone's already sitting down eating, and they have like, the partition trays, and your bread is always like in the top right corner. So I just used to walk down the line. It's like my whole platoon was a bunch of nerds, so I would just walk through and just start taking bread. Like
Yeah.
I'd have like 18 pieces by the time I sat down, bread and soup, and then I would take soup from like the guys at the very end of the line.
Yeah.
And that was how I kept my calories up for that middle month, which didn't help a whole lot, but like it kept me from like straight up dying because I lost, I think by pound 30, like I was losing nutrients too.
Hmm.
Like I got pneumonia twice. It's fucking terrible. And like,
Lingering drug
yeah.
addict.
So I have the first time I just raw dog pneumonia. I just didn't go to the doctor. I was like, because they really paint the picture for you that medical's not where you want to be.
Yeah.
It's going to make your whole process longer.
Mhm.
So I tried to avoid going. And the second time I got it, I couldn't speak words, which like in a volume controlled environment, that's pretty bad.
Mhm.
So my throat had closed so badly that I couldn't speak. So they forced me to go to medical, and I got on whatever hardcore prescription drugs they had. And when you get your prescription, you take them back to your drill instructor. You're not allowed to maintain your own prescription because they're worried that people might overdose or abuse them or sell them. So you give your prescription meds to your drill instructor, and he'll summon you to the front of the quarter deck like before bedtime and before breakfast, or however often you're supposed to get your pills. And again, I'm in like a group of people, not the most stellar group of people, like and this drill instructor, like he was dealing with some demons. Like he was the one that was always pissed off for like
Yeah.
no reason at all. And he takes my bottle and he goes to read the generic name for it, like this multisyllabic, like monster of a name. And like halfway through, it was like and he just takes it and plummets this bottle against the wall, and my pills go fucking everywhere. And he's like, you know what that said to me? It said, you're nothing but a fucking malingering drug addict. I'm just, when I say, like, sure, yes, sir. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
So those are
me.
your antibiotics.
Yeah, my antibiotics just flushed down the toilet. He told me to get out of his face. And like, what was kind of sad is like, these recruits, like, they saw what happened. So they're all like pilfering my pills from the floor.
Yeah.
And they brought me like 4 of them out of like 50,
Nice.
which is almost like worse. Like,
Yeah.
oh, here you go. Like, you can feel better for a day or two. So I just had to sweat that one out, but that was fucking terrible.
Turns out it was fucking naproxen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm 5'11". I was about 150 pounds when I went to boot camp. So I was like borderline where I could pass for a half or a double rat,
Mm,
so a skinny kid.
yeah.
Like I wasn't a double rat, but I could fool somebody into thinking that I was a double rat. So I made a double rat tag, and then it's same
Hell
thing.
yeah.
There's a little partition, and I made the tag, and you would wear them on your sleeves, and I would put it on the button, but only halfway on the button, so I could get it off quick.
Mm,
And so as you enter, I pick up the tray, I'd start getting the food items, and then when you enter that little partition section where they couldn't see you, I'd slide it on, and then I get to the starch section. They give you 2 starches, and then you come to you have to turn the corner and go down to the other end. The drill instructor would stand there and like inspect your tray when you walk by, and I would slide the tag off again and put it in my hand and hold it, and like as I would go to my inspection, and then yell to go to
just fucking Ocean's 11, dude.
Oh yeah,
Just
just straight up,
smooth.
just straight, yeah, smooth. Just put it on, get my freaking potatoes and my macaroni or whatever the fuck, and then slide it off and dip out.
It's fucking
So
perfect
I
height.
almost got dropped from my platoon for an act of thievery. So we're getting ready to go to the Crucible, and like all they're telling us is this hellacious final exercise, right? And like we've heard about it, we know it's going to be hard, and like I don't even think I have like bone marrow at this point. Like I'm so skinny. So I started doing this thing, and I wasn't the only one who did it, but like I thought I was one of the slicker ones. Like when you carry your tray, you have your cover under the tray, and it creates this little like
Pocket,
this little pocket.
a little pouch.
And for the condiment section, like as you round the food line, like they have like the big tubes of peanut butter, like
Yeah.
fucking like 4-ounce tubes of peanut butter.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty dense calories and protein. So I would grab like, you're allowed to have one. I would grab like 6 or 7.
Mhm.
And I'd put the one on my tray, and I would like so under my tray, my hat is canted a little bit, and I would just toss a bunch into my hat.
Yeah.
And I did this for like probably a couple weeks, and then like day 15 of me pulling this little shenanigan, drill instructor smacks my tray out of my hands, fucking peanut butter goes everywhere, and I just get drugged straight from the chow hall to my platoon squad bay and get smoked for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And like that's probably the worst day of my life because they're also telling me, oh, after this, we're going to drop you platoon. You don't get to graduate with this platoon. I'm like, fuck, man. So I'm just like sweating out whatever calories I still have left. And my senior drill instructor comes on deck and he asks, like, on in a sidebar with the other hats, he asks, like, what's going on? Because I was relatively squared away. I never fucked anything up. Um, and they explained it to him that I was like stealing peanut butter, and he puts a stop to it. And he's like, because this is the same guy that gave me the half ration tag when he knew I didn't merit it. So he was kind of on the same wavelength as me. And he cleared them out of the quarter deck, and he asked me just straight up, he's like, "Are you stealing peanut butter because you lost too much weight?" And I was like fucking crying, like, "Sir, yes, sir." He's like,
I'm fucking
he's
small.
like, "Just get the fuck out of here." He's like, "You're not getting dropped. Just get the fuck out of here. Go back to your platoon." And he squashed it with the other hats, like basically like, yeah, this was an oopsie, but it's like our oopsie because this kid definitely needed to eat half as much food, and he's pretty much dying.
Yeah.
So that was my moment of grace. But I remember you talked about criminal behaviors. So we go do the crucible, and we all pass, and we come back, and we're tasked with like gathering all our gear to turn it back into SIF. And like the drill instructors acted all appalled when like all of us only had half as many canteens and none of our flashlights worked. And it's like, did you guys forget the part where you like inspected them and chucked them across the room like for the last 3 months? But we go. So what he had us do is he had us take all the good serviceable gear, and we're back in alphabetical order at this point. So he gave all the serviceable gear to people's like A through D, let's say. And he asked the platoon, he's like, "Hey, who here's ever committed burglary?" And we all just like stone faced. He's like, "No, guys, for real. Like, I need honesty right now. Who's ever committed burglary?" And like,
I need some burglary experience.
yeah, and like there's like 6 or 7 Marines like slowly raise their hands.
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay, you 7 go get in the front of the line." And so he had them wear different name tags, so they were A through B or whatever. They turned their gear in, and then he ordered them to, in a clandestine fashion, make their way to the back of the what do you call those sites? Those the warehouse essentially, like,
Yeah.
and he's like, take note of where they're putting the gear in the back, and then go break in through the back, and basically
Just to
wagon wheel gear back to the back of the line. So like these guys turned their gear in, they went back and stole the gear they just turned in and gave it to the people in the back. So
Yeah.
like on paper we turned in 100 canteens, but really turned in maybe like 25.
Yeah. There's only
100%.
one thief in the Marine Corps. Everyone else is just trying to get their shit back.
Thanks.
On Firewatch, like you're talking about being at Edson Range up north, so they give you your MREs, and they don't let you eat. You can eat the main meal only, but no heater, and you can't eat any of the side dishes or whatever. They just take that away, and then they just throw it away. So I was on Firewatch one night, and then the guy that I was with took out the trash, and he comes back and he's like, "Hey, I need you to come with me." Like, what's up? He's like, "We're going to take out the trash." I'm like, okay. So we go, we walk around to where the dumpsters are, and he opens the lid of the dumpster and shines the flashlight in there, and you see it's just like full of like rice pilaf and pound cake. And it was like it was glowing, It was like on
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction when they open the briefcase.
Yeah,
and
you never actually see it, but it's
Yeah.
just going,
It's just glowing out of it. And so we just dive into the dumpster, and like he holds the lid, and I jump in, and then I hold the lid, and then he jumps in, and then we just drop the lid and just sink down.
like fucking raccoons.
Just some fucking trash pandas just in there, just start hammering just all the sides, and then just stole a bunch of it, and like smuggled it in, had it hidden places and whatever. But yeah, the food insecurity is real. The thievery.
It's you get by. That's why when I watch the commercials, I laugh because there's always like the element of honor to it, and like
Mhm.
but you really get by in the Marine Corps being, half intelligent, a pretty talented criminal, and also if you're more muscular than most people, like that's also a huge nod
Yeah,
because like the Marine Corps more often than not operates with what I call the dodgeball theory, where you just always want the biggest, strongest people on your team, and like it's very primal in that like they'll assign leadership strictly based on how you look.
yeah,
Because I remember when I went to combat training, I had the week of boot leave, I was able to eat like a regular person again, so I got my size back, and like just straight up like high school dodgeball, like, oh, we need a guy for this platoon. Oh, there he is, right there.
Mhm.
I'm like, fuck. And then what's even worse is like you get picked, and then where you do yourself a disservice is you're actually good at it. That's what you don't want to do.
You're gonna be in the middle.
Yeah, Chris Williamson called it the curse of competence,
Mhm.
where like you consistently do things well and meet expectations, then people like just consistently rely on you more and more for it. That's 100% real. and that kind of plagued me like my whole Marine Corps career. Um, and it wasn't even like super hard to maintain because the standard of excellence in the Marine Corps is actually relatively low.
Yeah.
Like if you're not talking like CFT PFT range, like
Mhm.
you just seem to be like semi okay at any given job, and you're already in like the top
Yeah.
bracket. Which does make sense when you consider like this is just a bunch of teenagers that really didn't know what else to do, so we
Yeah.
all ended up here. Um, and then that followed me. So I got out of the Marine Corps. I had a good time. I did my last year in Pendleton, which was just like one long giant party.
How long was it? 4 years?
Yeah, just 4 years. So that was the plus of being open contract because if I had selected either one of the two technician contracts, those were 5-year commitments.
Mm.
But I did.
Bonus, but more an extra year.
Yeah. Get out and I didn't really know. Again, like I did this whole endeavor to learn what to do with myself, and I got zero valid input. So I'm back at essentially ground zero again.
With a GI Bill.
Yeah, but now with the GI Bill. So I'm like, okay, I got all this money that people pay me to go do trainings and shit. What could I do to make at least at this point? Like, well, I just want to make a lot of money because people who have a lot of money tend to be happier than those that don't. So I read up on this career, like electrical line worker, and I had flipped through the curriculum, and the curriculum, like on paper at least, is really similar to like the text curriculum in the Marine Corps, where it's like all a bunch of like Ohm's law and like basic mathematics. So I was like, okay, I was like, I might be good at this. So I go there. It was a pretty cool course. Like it was all fun shit. Like I'm not super fond of heights, but I got to like climb poles and stuff and lattice towers, and it was in Idaho, which is cool because I got to see like another. I'd only ever lived in California, so
Mhm.
get a whole extra state's worth of experience under my belt and learn how blue collar people live. And I graduated. So I remember it's like a 4-month course, and in month 3, they had pulled my buddy and I aside to do like this photo shoot, and we didn't really know what it was for. We thought maybe it was for like the graduation video or something.
Mhm.
And we fast forward to the end, we graduate, and I go home, and like basically like once you graduate, you're like just sent off in the world to go find jobs with various utilities and just become a lineman.
Yeah.
So kind of like the last week of the course, I realized like while I was in this school and having a relative amount of success with it, I still didn't really like the work. So like, well, fuck this, I'm back at ground zero again. I don't want to do this either.
Yeah.
So I'm just spending months and years of my life figuring out what I don't want to do. And I made the decision to just go to University of Phoenix on the GI Bill and collect the housing allowance to kind of float myself until I figured out the next big thing.
Yeah.
And then, ironically, a month after we graduated, I get this brochure sent to me, and I'm on the cover of it, and it's for the lineman school.
Nice.
And their most valued statistic in this brochure is the employability of the graduates.
Mhm.
So you flip open my face, and then there's this pie chart, and it says like the number of people that graduate that are still employed in the trade, and it's like 99%. And 1%, 1% of this pie chart has graduated and no longer seeks employment in the trade. And the guy on the cover is now the 1% because I don't
Yeah.
want anything to do with true. So I remember I never really had like this grandiose story like of always wanting to be a cop, or like, I grew up, my favorite costume was the cop costume, or, I love the badge and gun at
Yeah.
Halloween. I actually didn't like cops very much. And MPs I hated even worse. But
Mhm.
I just remember the GI Bill, like they do this weird thing where they pay you like when they feel like it.
Mhm.
And like, so sometimes it's every 4 weeks, sometimes it's like, oh, sorry about last month, we kind of goofed it.
Yeah.
Here's double the money. So it wasn't sustainable at all. So I remember I was driving back from the gym and I saw BPD had a banner up, and I was like, oh, it's as simple as, oh, they'll hire me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't suck at life, and I don't have a criminal record, so I'm sure I'll get hired. Oh, I'm a veteran now at this point. And that was about as much as it took.
Mhm.
And then 6 months later, I started the academy, which like the academy was great. I actually found it way harder than boot camp because boot camp, like you're just there. Like you have to do this.
Yeah.
Like you fucking go to sleep there, you wake up there, they feed you, they control your whole welfare. But like the academy, like it's a bunch of guys, the RTOs that want to make you feel like you're in boot camp. But the bitch of it is that you're allowed to go home every day,
Mhm.
and you literally just don't have to come back. Like if you
You have
don't,
to make the conscious decision to show up every day.
yeah. And like every morning, my alarm would go off at like 4:30, and I would just lay there. I set it at 4:30 because I knew I was going to lay there till about 5,
Mhm.
and just wonder like if I'm still going to go do this shit every day. So I thought that was way more difficult than boot camp. And then now, when you're in boot camp, unemployment's not really a factor because they just own you for 4 years. Like you can't quit.
Yeah.
Like most people think like, oh, you can just bow out of boot camp. No, like they still own your ass.
Yeah.
They're getting 4 years out of you. But this time, like, I had people that depend on me at this point, had to make money. And um, first competence struck again. So I was the class leader, which is like everything in the world I didn't want to be, because like there's no real accolade that comes with it. And like you just become responsible for delivering bad news to the person who's going to punish you. So like, whereas like your peers have no problem telling you all the horrible shit they did on their weekend off, because you're just the only one that has to go tell the RTO and get fucked over. And I remember, and it's like there's just like a variety of different like levels of experience, like world experience in a given academy class. Because like I know you guys talked about memos on here. It's like we were getting issued memos, and like if you were in any branch of the service, you immediately recognize like what is literally meant to make you better and what's just a fucking game. And memos are just hands down a game. And but it's funny to watch people struggle with that, like that actually take them seriously.
Yeah.
And at one point, so I become the class leader, and one of my classmates asked me, "Hey, Max, can you just ask the RTO if we could just start typing these damn things?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And they look at me and they go, "Why not? The worst they could say is no." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know if you've been paying attention these last few weeks, but that's
not the worst.
That's
thing
not
you
the
can
worst
do.
thing they could do. It can get a lot worse than that." So I think my class, and I verified they all hated me, because later on in my career, I found my peer evals that they all did on me, and it was fucking just nothing but hatred. So,
Yeah.
um, they hate me because I basically just like I forced them to live the intended dream. Like, no, we got to play these games. There's no way around it. Like, this isn't Rudy. This isn't fucking Little Giants. Like, we're not going to overcome the RTO's provisions and become best friends at the end of it because he finally believes in us. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, that's all fake. So I always really well liked in my academy, and then
You got bit by a canine in the academy.
oh yeah, fuck.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
nice.
the old academy facility, we used to share land. Well, we were renting land, I guess, from the county sheriff's office. And if you go there, like on Airport Drive, and you proceed down the tarmac from where the academy is, like west of that is it's like a joint purpose field. It's like a PT field and their canine field where they break their dogs. And like this poor canine officer is coming in from a shift of work, and like, like you could argue he should have known or not known, but like it's not like we lit smoke signals. Like he didn't know there was a academy group of kids on his canine's break field. So he takes his car into the wash rack, and his dog's like, getting all antsy because he has to pee. So he just door pops his dog from his belt, and it takes off, and it goes home. Like it goes to its playfield where it's supposed to go. And all of a sudden there's 52 chew toys sitting out there that look like they're flailing. I was doing sit-ups at the time, so I just look like I'm flailing on the ground like a combative suspect. And I remember I was getting yelled at.
The academy was at PT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My academy is getting PT, and I remember being yelled at for not screaming the count loud enough. So I'm screaming it loud enough. And like my third edition of like higher volume, this dog just fucking yanks me and takes me for a ride. And my first thought was like, man, they're really serious about this volume shit over here.
Yeah.
So this dog is dragging me by my elbow all around the field. And like I didn't react because I was just so like taken aback by it.
Yeah.
And my stress mechanism is laughter. So I'm kind of like trying to fight back laughter because that'll get me in more trouble. So this dog and I are just staring at each other. I'm like, what do you want to do, dude? And like he's just yanking on my elbow. And we had this shitbag in my class that had forgotten his running shoes that day. So thankfully we were in 511 boots. Brand new, right out of the box. And so this dog, I guess like I did some examination of like canine culture on the back end of this, and like dogs get off on the tearing sensation. That's why they favor like rope toys or things that can naturally be torn over time, because it's like satisfying to them. So the whole time this dog was yanking on me, I was doing like the alligator thing where I'm just crawling with it. So he's puncturing me, but he's not tearing my flesh, which is boring for him. So he's like, oh, this is lame. And at some point he transitioned from my elbow down to my foot. And at that point, it was like, oh, game on. Like, this is a brand new leather boot. Have at it. So he spent the next 10 to 15 seconds just chewing on my foot until the handler finally realized, like, oh, shit, my dog hasn't been back in a while. And he around the fence. And, like, it's not that, like, our instructors, they try to get the dog off me, but I guess across the two agencies, the canines, or I guess it's really the breeder, but the canines are commanded in different languages depending on who your breeder is.
Sometimes there's like 4 or 5 different languages.
Yeah, so whatever language the academy staff were trying just was not it. And at some point, I distinctly remember them yelling at this dog, all their commands failing, and looking at them, and they basically looked up and go,
well,
and they just look at me like, hey man, like, sorry.
Yeah.
And I was just like, cool. But anyway, the handler came over and got the dog off me, and there wasn't really any fallout from that. Oh, but so that was the day I became class leader because I said I handled it with such poise that it was indicative of good decision making or some shit. And it's like, tell me you don't want me to sue you without telling me you don't want me to sue you, which I wasn't gonna do anyway.
Yeah.
But that was totally like the nod they thought they were giving me, like, oh yeah, you're cool, so you get to be in charge of all these idiots now.
Yeah.
Fuck,
It's a double whammy.
double whammy.
Yeah.
But
All right. So then you graduated the academy. This is 10 years ago. And then where do you go from there?
I did my time on patrol, and it was a wild time. So this is that sweet spot where like, because now we've brought back arrest approval, but at the time, once you were off probation, you didn't have to get arrest approval. You could pretty much, the world is your oyster. Like, just go forth and arrest criminals. And it's also pre-body cam.
Yeah.
So like that's like the mecca of like law enforcement, where
Yeah.
like
An arrest approval is when you make an arrest, you call a supervisor and you explain to them the situation and what you're arresting them for, and then you get approval from the supervisor.
yeah, and you verify the elements of the crime have been met, which like we would still do for any real serious thing. Like if it was any one of the major 200 series felonies, like your assault with deadly weapon, like you're getting approval, but not
Mhm.
really approval. You're running it by somebody at the very
Yeah.
least. But like the lower level misdemeanors, dude, that was fucking the free for all. Like
Mhm.
just yeah, I think this applies and hook someone up. But I had a partner, John, at the time. We had a pretty wild year and a half or so. We worked primarily the west side of town on the swing shift, which is actually like it's a pretty good beat to be in because like there's a decent amount of action, but it's not like overwhelming.
Mhm.
Like 'cause if you work on the east side during the swing shift, you're just like from the time you leave the gate to when you're back in, you're just abused. Like there's no chance to breathe. There's nothing.
Yeah.
But on the west side, like
A little slower pace.
yeah, slower pace. If you want a PSL, get a PSL on you, you can go
Mhm.
do that.
Hell yeah.
Really gear up for the next big call. But and then I remember I got really fat for a while. It was right around the time my daughter was born because I stopped going to the gym pretty much entirely.
Yeah.
And like it took a whole year for like that self shame to really kick in. And I think what really did it was that when you're vested, like especially when we all rocked inner vests, like you couldn't tell I was getting fat, so no one like called me out on it.
Mhm.
And like I think no one really recognizes day to day. Like if you're already a bigger person, no one really like goes far enough to slice that up like and compartmentalize it.
Mm.
Like I'm just the big guy. Like whether I'm like 220 pounds or 250 pounds, no one really recognizes that.
Yeah.
So I got like really fat, and I remember I had that like come to Jesus moment staring at the mirror one day, and I was like, this is disgusting. And then I got back into it. I dabbled in like some intermittent fasting and um got my wits back about me, and then like probably got the leanest version of myself I've ever been. And that was right around the time uh you tapped me for the RTO thing, which was like, I don't know you realize this, but you didn't actually tell me I got the job until I was just told to come to work that day.
That's pretty much how it works anyway.
Yeah. So like it was he told me there was like I went to this course down south, and basically all this course allows you to do is like if you need to do anything remotely more than temporary RTOing, like this course allows you to do that. It's all about just like liability and academy structure and stuff like that. And like a little bit on marching because that's important. And Travis just told me, yeah, I'm looking at bringing on like you and like Reagan and Christina, and we'll just see what happens. But yeah, I don't really have anything definitively to tell you at this point. So I'm okay, cool. So I'm like telling my family at the time, like, oh yeah, I'll get to go out there and do this in like an overtime capacity. And every time we spoke in the following months, like you'd indicate like just one more sliver of information, like, hey, like how many uniforms do you have? I was like, well, I just have the one because that's all I need, right? You might want to get like 2 or 3, but it's up to you. It's no big deal. And then we met with our actual boss at the time, the sergeant, who was the world's okayest boss, we called him. And he told us, how did he say? He said it like some super unceremonious way, like, oh, yeah, you're good with Monday through Thursday for like the next 6 months, right? And I was like, the fuck is happening? And then and then you come to like, oh yeah, you're just gonna do this now with me until the kick.
This is your new job.
Yeah, it's your new job now. So, and then that was when Nick's Academy started, and that was I feel so bad for those kids
Mhm.
because I don't understand actually. I don't think if you were to go back and audit like the number of hours they spent in class, I don't think they got enough actual classroom time to become cops
Mhm.
because we fucked with them so badly. And they were in that weird transitional period where like they're moving into a new house, which is our new academy facility. So like they had nothing. Like the first chairs we got were the ones the Rabobank threw away.
Mhm.
and they had like we had like the old school AV system, like when the substitute teacher would come
Yeah.
and just bring in the TV cart, like that was their fucking
Yeah.
their
The
multimedia
projector with
presentation.
the see-through pieces of plastic that you write on.
Yeah, and there were a shit ton of them because it was like the first Measure N Academy.
Yeah.
And I remember they wanted to guarantee their success. They wanted them to have this like super lengthy pre-academy, which is a fucking scam.
Yeah,
Like
5 weeks.
The pre-academy is just 5 extra weeks of going where you're supposed to be going in the uniform you're supposed to be wearing. Only we don't have a curriculum for you, so we're going to read Jocko,
Mhm.
and you're going to get smoked.
Yeah.
That's literally all we're doing.
Yeah.
And they started dropping like flies. And I remember like so the first day I got to actually smoke them. I remember because you guys told me to be hands off for a little bit and just
Yeah.
kind of like learn the system.
Yeah.
And we were at the range and the academy's all formed up and they're just standing there looking all irritating. And I don't know why. I just remember I was looking at them just getting mad for no reason at all. I think because I saw Loyal with his transitional glasses and like Hep with his big ass belly, and I was just started like foaming at the mouth, full primal predator mode, like a bunch of sick gazelles like lingering out there for me. And I remember I called you and I was like, hey, like, are you guys almost here? Because they're just fucking standing here pissing me off, and I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And you said, well, you can like yell at them if you want. And then I still waited, and then you showed up. And it was like that scene from Other Guys where like, I was like, oh, if we're gonna do bad cop, worst cop, I really got to outdo this guy because you ran and screamed at them. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember this because of Marine Corps days.
Yeah.
And like 3 hours later, like 4 people have quit. Like the one gal, she tried to quit. Like
Yeah, it was sad. I feel bad about that later on.
this. Do you remember that?
Which one?
This girl, she
tried to quit, and
we were sending you on 999 runs back and forth to like the canine fence.
and it was at the end of the day. You guys were like 20 minutes away from going home.
Yeah, and this girl. So we see you guys all running one direction, and this one female is running towards us.
And
And we
she's
just
got
think
her
it's
vest like slung in like her kind of a weird way.
and like maybe from like me to the wall, we just started like, "What the fuck are you doing? Get back in formation!" And she's like, "Oh, okay." And so she just runs, and we found out later she was coming to quit.
Yeah.
but we
Oh.
just told her no. Like you're gonna
So
get
then
the
we smoked you guys for like 20 more minutes after that moment when she came to quit, and she just like stayed with it.
I
And
remember,
then
but
at
I
the
don't
end
know
of the
who she
day,
is,
then,
though.
Then she called and then she quit.
Who was that?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
but
But I felt bad afterwards. I was like, man, she
Was
was
that
trying to-
Perez?
oh maybe yeah.
She's still. I mean, she got a civilian job.
Yeah.
So
You know, everyone finds their spot. You
It
know?
all worked out. But
But
she got extra 20 minutes of getting smoked that she didn't really need to because we didn't understand what was
Oh
happening.
shit! Yeah.
over the next 3 years, I did the 6 academies though, and like it's fun because like you know it's fun to be the architect of that sort of torture, but like that's actually growing towards something.
Remember
And-
Fabian's? You got to tell the Fabian story.
Oh, the door.
The door.
Oh shit! Yeah, that kid was down. So we have across the two of us.
You
We
know
have
about
some,
this?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
across the two of us, we have some really bad habits of just executing things without having a plan.
Mhm.
And there's a portion of the academy where, like, you know, again, we're back to ditties, like Marine Corps style, where we teach them how to like knock and enter the building of the classroom, and they have to accomplish a series of commands in order to gain successful entry into the classroom. So, in the first week, like, no one's going to succeed at this. Like, it's just
Yeah.
it's not designed for them to pass.
Yeah.
So, I would be on the outside of the door that they're trying to get into, and Travis would be on the inside. And they would knock and they would say their ditty. And like at this point, they're all mumbling and fucking it up because they're all scared. And, you know, every time they screw it up, it's a free ticket to go smoke the whole class again.
Mhm.
But Travis was doing this technique where he's kicking the interior of the door they're supposed to be knocking for like acoustic drama.
Yeah, you make noise.
Yeah, just to make noise and stress them out. And in between smoke sessions, he had run and hid back behind his door, but he didn't actually make sure it latched all the way. So this kid, I say kid, he's older than either of us. I think he's in his 40s now.
Yeah, I
But-
think so.
Fabian's his name. He goes up and he knocks on the little pine plank that you're supposed to knock on, and this door just flies out of the door jamb and smokes him right in the fucking face, and like makes him. He drops like at the knees, and his partners catch him. And I just like as when you're RTOing, like the free pass out of anything is just calling 999 because it just makes everyone run away and leave, and you're left there to figure out what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
So he like loses consciousness briefly and like falls, and they catch him, and I'm just like, oh, no. And then everyone runs out of there, and Travis pokes us out from behind the door. He's like, I just sent this into someone's face, didn't I? I was like, yeah, that's pretty bad. We got to get this kid,
Yeah.
see if he's okay.
Well, I thought it was latched. I didn't know it was unlatched. So
It can happen
So-
to anybody.
Mhm.
It
So-
can happen to anybody.
We summon him back over to us, and we're asking like, hey man,
we got the medic because the medic was there. And
Yeah.
She told the medic to go
Bill was
check on
there.
him.
Yeah. and we're having the medic check on this kid, and like half his face is clearly red,
Mhm.
and we're like, hey man, did that door hit you in the face? Oh, and he has blood coming out of this nostril.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, it didn't hit me. And just pure gangster, dude.
Like, no, we're trying to get you medical aid.
Yeah, like, no, like, you're not
Nah.
going to be in trouble. We're trying to help you because
Yeah.
we think you lost
because
consciousness.
we hurt you. Yeah.
And he goes, no, I blocked it with my hand. Like, you were the position of attention, dude. You did not block shit with your hand. But that's when we knew he was one of the boys. Because he
Yeah.
stuck to his guns, dude.
It's down. George Washington once said, "Stay strapped and get clapped." Probably. That's why I always carry concealed. Do you carry concealed, or do you own a firearm for self-defense? If so, you might want to consider Firearms Legal Protection. FLP is a legal defense fund which pays for your legal fees if you are involved in a self-defense incident. That includes your criminal defense and covers you if you are sued civilly. With plans starting as low as $10 a month for our viewers, go ahead and check out our link in the description for more information. All right, so you RTO'd for a long time.
Yeah, it was a long time. Actually, you called it too.
The record.
Because I remember when we first got in the office and like the dust kind of settled on his academy, you were like, yeah, you're like, as long as you don't fuck anything up, you're probably gonna do this for like 2 or 3 years, which was unprecedented at that point because we never had money.
Yeah.
As a department, we'd like scrounge for, it's like we're looking the sofa for change and
Mhm.
realize, oh, we have enough money for an academy, and we would put one on, and then it would be like however many years until the next one.
How
But
many,
measure
how
it,
many people did you graduate?
153.
Damn, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
And then that's the ones that graduated. So I guess total number that came through the doors is probably easily double that. We have a pretty good attrition rate, but
Mhm.
yeah, that was to this day still the coolest thing I've ever done, honestly, in terms of like return on investment, because it's like pretty cool. It's a cool thing to be a part of, and like you get to be. I think every Marine has a dream of being a drill instructor, but you know, very few people get to actually do it. And this is like as close as you can get without actually wearing the green hat.
Mhm.
Only there's a bit more to it because like you have to actually pull these kids through like a legitimately challenging process to occupy an even more challenging environment. And like
And you're still gonna see them too.
you're still gonna see them, and like they could totally like shoot you in the back if you're clearing houses on accident. So I'm always weary like when I work around the kids that really got it heavy in the academy. But they're actually all pretty down.
Yeah.
Like I don't think any severe grudges are held.
Yeah.
Oh, not by me.
Yeah, they might
So-
put something in your drink, but you know, they're not gonna
Well, like
shoot.
definitely not by his group because his group is just fucked up. Like they broke mentally probably around week 20 or something and never got it back.
Yeah.
Because just the way I watched the way they problem solve like out in the field, that's the cool benefit is like watching your former recruits go forth and do police work.
Mhm.
And their method of police work is like just a few degrees off. Like
Mhm.
all the good intent is still there, but like the way they problem solve is batshit fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, because we were the first class and the first group to come out of academy with body cams.
Yeah.
So we had never experienced the non-body cam life, like
Mhm.
like the people before us. So it was just from the very beginning. It was just all body cam. So you kind of just had to. You really couldn't take a lot of advice from. Well, you could take a lot of advice, but like some of the advice was just you just had to put it into effect just differently because it was just like this is all body cam, like everything's being recorded, like you know what I mean. Nobody kind of was trying to. Everyone was still trying to figure out like how to do stuff. Like your language had to be like really good. You couldn't cuss anybody out, unfortunately.
And you guys came in right during the
Protest.
start of COVID and the protest. Yes. When
Yes.
you guys were finishing FTO.
So that was a cool
was a
bit of
wild time.
validation. Like our approach had a serious bit of validation attached to it because like I remember it was Terrazas, I think. The second academy went underway. His group is all out there at the protest, like running the riot line and everything. And like, you know, it's counterintuitive, right? Like you go to an academy and you have this big guy just screaming in your face every single day for the span of like 6 months. And then you're indirectly prepared for going to a riot line where some big guy's going to scream in your face for, you know, however long, and only they're probably not as witty or as clever, and the things they say aren't as funny.
Yeah.
And they weren't
So-
as big either.
Yeah, so like Terrell just came back and was like, "Hey, sir, like I really get it all now. Like I get you just did this to prepare us." I was like,
Oh yeah.
Totally, yeah,
dude.
Totally.
For
I
sure.
fucking knew this was going to happen. I knew there was going to be a national incident that made us all live like hell for a year.
And that was our first class to have 2 full-time RTOs.
Yeah,
also.
which is
Remember,
horrible.
what was it? We had that speech that we gave them down in the sump
In the pits.
in the pit. there was a sump outside of the academy
yeah.
that we used to use until we got told we weren't allowed to use it anymore.
Yeah, because we were degrading the wall of the fucking sump that's meant to capture dirty water and
Yeah.
homelessness.
And we would take them down there and smoke them in the sump because nobody could see them down there.
I'm sorry, someone at Public Works hates freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
remember it was like hot. This was in the summer months. This was in, I don't even know, like July, August, something like
Mhm.
that. It was really hot. And we're trashing them for whatever it was. And
it was Wednesday, so
yeah. And then I remember telling them something about how, you know, when they're going to look back on this and then they're going to, whatever hot day they're at work, it's not going to be as hard as this. And then, but also something about that I didn't care if they stayed or
oh,
left.
that was great. Yeah, so well, it was after a smoke session. So
Yeah.
like we there's games you can play, especially with the dual RTO dynamic. You can play like games like loyalty games, like, oh, I'm the Punisher, he's the savior kind of thing. But like that batch of kids had it horrible because we were both just Punishers with different styles.
Yeah.
And so they got smoked in the sump, yeah, for a really long time. And like how there were no heat casualties is beyond me because I think they were in their full uniforms at that point.
Yeah.
But I sent them back into the classroom and you came out with your hat off, which is like that's like the code for like, hey, this is a more informal environment. Like you guys
Yeah.
can relax a little bit. And they're all breathing hard and they're filthy and they're covered in dirt and sweat. And like their uniforms are starting to tear and shit. And I remember you go up there and you like have that like I swear, if you could have sat backwards in a chair, you would have. If you were like the cool principal, and you're like, "Hey guys, like
Stand and deliver.
you did like some disarming shrug, and you're like, "Hey, this is hard, right?" And like, yeah, and, like and this like you know sometimes like it gets so hard, some of you might even feel like you might want to quit, and like I feel like I want to quit, and then like there was a long pause, and you just looked at them, and you went, "Good, get the fuck out of here." And they all look up like glass shattered, like, wait, what do you say? He's like, no, because my fucking wife works here.
Yeah.
We're gonna be your B partner. If you can't do this, then get the fuck out of here. And at that point, it was like whatever shred of hope they had that the dual parent dynamic was going to benefit them, they just lost. Like, and you had your coffee, like your styrofoam coffee cup, like, yeah, get the fuck out of here. I don't want you here. And,
It wasn't like mom and dad. It was like dad
and drunk
like
stepdad.
and like mom's boyfriend that, you know, takes you to the bar. And,
Put cigarettes out on you. Yeah. Classic stuff.
yeah. So then you did that for 3 years, 6 academies, and then did you promote her there?
I promoted while I was there, and they let me finish my probationary period while I was there, so that was pretty cool. And then I went back to patrol where,
As a senior officer.
yeah, and I worked on your shift, and that was where I think I couldn't have picked a better time to be on patrol because like we were, I say we, you and the sergeant SWAT were confronted with a lot of really unique problems, like societal issues, like with the street racing thing,
Oh yeah.
and then just a lot. I got to witness a lot of out of the box thinking that like isn't really alluded to like in the theater of law enforcement, like on a national scale, like what we see if we watch Cops,
Mhm.
Live PD, whatever your poison is. Like I've never seen problem solving from a law enforcement standpoint the way I saw it those months or whatever we worked together. But you know, we had the street racing thing, and that was like our next big chapter.
Yeah.
And then we doing a sick break. What are you doing?
Yeah, we can take a sick break.
All
Take a
right.
sick break?
Let's take a sig break.
Let's take a sick break.
Where'd Nick go?
Fuck, I don't know.
Say no to the SIG P320.
And we're back. All right. So you were RTO for 6 cycles, came back to patrol. Some unique societal issues that were going on at the time.
Yeah, so and we'll get a chance to talk about this more with some media representatives soon. But yeah, when I came back on patrol, that's when the intersection takeovers were becoming a really prevalent thing in like street racing culture.
Yeah.
And kind of landed like right in the middle of it because I think your shift had already had an incident with it and you were in the early stages of putting together what your master battle plan was going to be. And I got to just kind of be involved in that. And that was fun because a lot of freeform law enforcement was conducted and some kind of like Pokemon style evolutionary theory with charges. If you want to break that down.
Pokemon style.
Yeah.
Oh, Like Pokeballs, capturing the Pokemon.
Yeah, I get enough XP, it'll evolve into a new charge.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the vehicle code section, there's a section for blocking an intersection for the purpose of a takeover, and it's what's called a wobbler. A wobbler is so there's three types of crimes. There's infraction in California. There's infractions, misdemeanors, and felonies. An infraction is something that you cannot be jailed for. It can only be fined. A misdemeanor essentially is something you can be fined or jailed for up to 1 year, and a felony is anything that can be jailed. The punishment is being jailed for more than a year. But and there's certain classifications of crimes called wobblers, which is like you can be charged either or. So you can have infraction misdemeanor wobbler and misdemeanor felony wobbler. And in our jail, they won't book anyone for any misdemeanors that aren't domestic violence, resisting arrest, violation of restraining order. Is there another one?
Mm.
It's been a while. Anyways, most misdemeanors you can't book for. You only book for felonies. So this infraction slash misdemeanor wobbler section for the vehicle code if you block an intersection for the purpose of a sideshow. So we would charge the misdemeanor section. And then if a bunch of people are all doing it together and we can articulate that there's two or more people that they conspired to commit this crime and that they took an overt action towards committing that crime, then the section for that is called conspiracy. And conspiracy is another wobbler for a misdemeanor or felony. If the underlying crime for a conspiracy is a misdemeanor, you can charge it either misdemeanor or felony. If the underlying crime is a felony, like say you and I conspire to murder Nick, the conspiracy is automatically a felony. But if you and I conspire to commit a misdemeanor, you can wobble it either way. So then we would wobble that conspiracy over to a felony section, and then now you have a bookable offense.
So you just tip the dominoes all the way from infraction all the way up to
Yeah,
felony.
yeah. Well, and like at the time I was reading, it's like whatever I'm reading at the time matters. I was reading a book on Sherman's March to the Sea, and so I was really into this section of the Civil War where William Tecumseh Sherman, he was like the #2 guy in charge of the Union at the time. Late 1864, like November, December of 1864, they took Atlanta in Georgia. The Union did, and they burned it to the ground. Some people they claim it was like an accident, but some people think it's on purpose. But they burned
Scorched
Atlanta.
earth, yeah.
Yeah, because they had to leave. So as they were leaving Atlanta, they burned it to the ground, and they went from Atlanta to Savannah, which is on the coast, on the East Coast, and it's like a 300-mile march from Atlanta to Savannah. It took, I think, like 2 months, I believe. Could be slightly off on that. And there were like 60,000 Union soldiers in his unit. And they spread out. It's like a 50 to 60 mile wide path from Atlanta to Savannah, and they destroyed everything between those two. So they basically cut a 60-mile wide, 300-mile long path of destruction through Georgia, where they burned every plantation. They destroyed. They foraged, so they didn't have a supply train, which is how they're able to move so quick. So they would by quote unquote foraging, which means they would just steal food from the local populace. So anything they needed to survive, they would just take from the plantations that they came across. And so they take all the food, anything that they didn't consume, they would destroy. And they just destroyed everything from Atlanta to Savannah. And then that was eventually what broke the Confederacy, because there wasn't a lot of like fighting. There were some skirmishes and some light battles, but there wasn't a lot of casualties on either side. But they ended up winning the war by destroying all of the logistics of the Confederacy, essentially. And so like they took like non-military targets and they just destroyed them all. It was like the first example of total war that we were involved in. Anyways, this was a kind of playing in the background of my mind
You thought that and you thought, what better way to showcase this than in California law enforcement?
as we're dealing with this problem, right?
Yeah.
And so for the people that know about takeovers, what happens is they show up to this intersection, they take over, they do burnouts or whatever. There's people that stand in the intersection while this is happening. They try to get close to it, and there's all this chaos. But there's like additional 300 to 500 people that are also there that they use their cars to block all directions of travel into the intersection. So this becomes a law enforcement problem that you can't get to the people that are actually committing the burnouts or doing the crazy activity because it's all being blocked by these other people. And when you arrive, they'll jump out in front of you and they'll intentionally try to obstruct you from getting to the people at the center of the takeover. So I just had this, William
Epiphany.
Tecumseh Sherman epiphany. I realized like that the problem isn't actually the people that are committing the real crime in the center of the intersection. The problem is all of these people that are kind of assisting. So kind of like in the Civil War, there was all these plantations that were supplying the Confederate Army, and Sherman figured out, like, if I just destroyed all of those and got rid of them, well, then they're not going to be able to supply the army anymore. They're going to create a logistical problem. They're going to break them. They're going to stop being able to fight with little, casualties. So it kind of, that was, again, playing in the back of my mind. I realized if we could just get rid of all of these people that are blocking the intersection, then getting to the guys doing the burnouts is actually pretty easy.
Mhm.
And so some creative interpretation of the law, tap in some traffic officers who, Brandon specifically, who is a traffic cop, and coming up with this solution. And yeah, so we ended up arresting on the last one in December of 22. We arrested 69 people and impounded 37 cars at one intersection. And then after that, that was the end. It shut down. But we had multiple operations leading up to that, and you were involved in all of
My
those.
puzzle piece came by way of like being the like quote unquote ground element, I guess, like the early insertion ground element to this whole deal, wherein like myself and a few officers would occupy undercover vehicles and stage ourselves. So like when they take over these intersections, they stack their vehicles, and like the stacks are both meant to block like ingress and egress for like pedestrians and officers and shit like that. And then it also it becomes a structured like feed-in loop like to the intersection. So like the stacks of vehicles, they progress vehicle by vehicle into the intersection. You go do your donut and you get them back a line, and it's like a conveyor belt style thing where they all just feed into this intersection. So we just took a couple UC vehicles, and I got to head up the unit informally titled the Thicc Boys.
The Thicc Boys and the
Yeah.
Trojan Horse.
Yeah, the logic behind the Thicc Boys was that, well, these guys, because by virtue of being embedded in this seemingly dangerous environment, like in the event that it goes south, like earlier than we intended to, we're going to be kind of left on our own without a lot of backup. So like we kind of, when we picked the Thicc Boys, we had like a 1,000-pound body weight minimum per vehicle across like 4 different people.
Yeah.
And most, if not all, the Thicc Boys had a propensity for violence. And they would be the ones in charge. Like, so it wasn't just like a melee. Like we were strategically going to be towards the front of each relative stack in this intersection, and then we would use stop sticks as a way to kind of encase the vehicles. Like, if you don't want to be here, well, now you can't leave.
Yeah.
And then I got to coach up some of the younger troops on. I say coach up; they all knew what they were doing. But I got to supervise the forceful removal of people from their vehicles, which this was like an interesting time because I'm coming out of the academies, so like 153 people have graduated at this point. And those are ironically the ones that are just chomping at the bit to get a part of this overtime. Like, I think it was maybe because it is cool, like to get to work with like your RTOs or your training staff, like in a peer-to-peer environment. So majority of our signatures on this overtime thing were all former recruits, and it was cool to watch them like just go wreak havoc on this problem.
Yeah.
And it culminated that very last takeover you mentioned, where we arrested the 69 people. Like, probably the most surreal moment in my law enforcement career was like, I had arrested this one guy, and I was after assisting him to the ground, I look up and there's like a pause. Like, there's no radio traffic because there's no need. Like, we're all here, we're all doing the same thing, so no one really needs to broadcast anything. So like,
There's 86 cops are at the same intersection.
yeah. Whereas like normally your radio is just screaming in your ear whenever anything exciting is happening. It's just dead quiet, and all I hear are tires either popping or screeching, glass breaking, a lot of verbal commands from officers, like with some profanity in there. And I look up, and it's like some sort of like apocalyptic like screenshot.
Yeah.
Like there's foot pursuits in like literally every direction. And like I remember this Chevy Silverado is a V71. It was driving towards me like really fast, and it caused enough concern to my arrestee to where it's like, "Hey, sir, I think this car is going to hit us." And I look up, and we roll each other out of the street. And as the headlights pass me, the vehicle kind of loses control and goes up on the center median. And it was like something out of fucking World War Z, because the vehicle just swarmed with cops, like on the window, like just like. And this dude is getting yanked out, like he's about to become one of the infected, like just yanking him through this car. And yeah, I look, and like I'm seeing like recruits from like real early academies, like or excuse me, the later academies.
Arresting, thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When I got him out of the lift truck, he thanked me, and I said, "Shut up." But yeah, and then all that we didn't plan the documentation side of that well at all, though.
Yeah, it turned.
And that's kind of
into-
that's I think that's our collective pitfall whenever you and I do pretty much anything, is the paper trail fallout usually is where we
Yeah, I'm not worried about that nerd shit.
yeah that's
It got
fucking-
handled.
that's
No,
future
it got
Alex's
handled.
problem.
There was a lot of reports that had to get written because we arrested 69 people, so took all those cars. But it was the longest police report I'd ever seen. Um,
I think I ended up doing the GO on that.
yeah, I think
was-
we did.
It was crazy long.
I know I didn't, so
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did that, and then you worked. So you worked was it one shift in patrol before?
I like a cumulative shift because it was like half a shift with you and then half a shift on midnights on the east side. That was a lot of fun. And I had bosses at the time that really treated me like an adult and allowed me to make executive decisions with respect to like the patrol side of things. And that was probably the best leadership development I got because of that freedom that was given. And then I was asked by someone I really respect to go to the quality assurance unit, which really that's like probably the most abrupt tangent to my career that I thought I would ever take, because it's not something I'm inclined to do on my own at all. Which
Yeah.
is,
So that's Lieutenant Bagby. He was on episode 29.
yeah.
Doesn't
I
matter.
don't remember the numbers.
Yeah, Bagby, a former guest.
He brought me on, and this is like, so this environment now is like, it's 3 equal parts auditing and oversight, like reviewing body cam footage, ensuring policies being followed, which is like, I've never enjoyed being that guy. I don't like auditing. I don't like, I apply pretty loose standards to myself, so having to apply stricter standards on other people seems really hypocritical.
Yeah.
But that was one element of the job. The second element was kind of external auditing. So like I would audit like the property room and stuff like that, just make sure everything's functioning efficiently, which that's a bit my speed. I genuinely like making things in my life run smoother.
Mhm.
And in a non-adversarial way, I like talking to people and figuring out how we can reach that. Like how can we reach a goal with less expenditures in between A and B? And then the third element is policy structure and deliberation, which since the 2015 or 2016, 17, when the monitors first started poking their head around and the judgment came about.
Oh, yeah, they started investigating in 15, 16, and then the judgment.
Sorry, I said
came-
monitors. I meant DOJ.
Yeah, the judgment came down, I think, in 2020.
So when we had the judgment levied against us, like the judgment's constructed of however many paragraphs, and the paragraphs all speak to things that we need to accomplish as an organization to reach what's called full effective compliance, where the DOJ no longer has to monitor us anymore. And these paragraphs, they're bracketed up like there's collective goals that span across like X amount of paragraphs. Like there's, arbitrary number, but like say there's 15 paragraphs associated to search and seizure. Just as many, if not more, are associated with use of force. And the chief of police constructed these policy teams or these project teams, and each project team is responsible with taking their section of paragraphs and graduating us as an organization to full effective compliance. So step one is like writing the policy, or editing a policy if it already exists to fit the standard, or if it doesn't exist, authoring it from scratch. And then as the policies mature through X amount of meetings with our monitor agency, Jensen Hughes, across however many meetings, eventually we come to an agreement that the verbiage in the policy we've written or edited in their eyes meets full effective compliance. And that's like step one. Step two is you got to take that same policy and pitch it to the community advisory panel, which is a group of civilians that they've volunteered and been selected to meet and confer over like essentially how we do our job and whether or not they think it's appropriate to serve the community of Bakersfield, which that's super, I won't say it's a weird environment because I'm pretty comfortable talking to people, but the goal is a bit odd because you're having to probably be more objective in those conversations than you ever thought you would be about things that you do impulsively on your job. Because you forget that like this isn't like a trade or like a blue collar trade wherein like any officer has to reach a certain level of experience before they're trusted to tackle the next series of police work. Like, no, the second you graduate the academy, you're expected to do literally all the functions that come with a police officer in the state of California. That's something that's lost on a lot of people because I think most people inappropriately assume it's tiered. Like, oh, well, they're not going to ask the kid fresh out of the academy to do this. No, they'll fucking ask them to do anything. Like, you could pick your national emergency. Like, it could be the Vegas shooting or the Boston Marathon bombing. Like some cop there, that was their first day.
Yeah.
And I imagine they ended that day covered in blood and FI cards and had no idea what the fuck they were supposed to do. But that nuanced look at law enforcement's lost on most civilian people. So it was cool to deliver them like the wealth of knowledge that we expect each of the recruits and the police officers to maintain, and see it overwhelm them, and then and frame their minds and say, okay, like now imagine like, so you're getting overwhelmed just hearing this verbally in a zero risk environment. Now imagine being a young 20-something-year-old police officer who has a family to provide for and has to levy these decisions in like a case by case, instant by instant basis in the real world. So we kind of reached that homeostasis with each other, where like there was a general level of acceptance across both uh, perspectives at the end of it all. But there's also there's a lot of infighting, and like there's a hack and slash game that's played with like things that can remain in our policy that are indicative of kind of our old cultural views, and now new, more progressive views that have to take their place. So that I didn't really have to concede too many of those from the search and seizure side, just because search and seizure it's just governed by law. So like most of these decisions aren't going to be made by me; they're going to be made by Supreme Courts
Yeah.
across the nation. So
One department isn't going to have a different policy than what the Constitution says,
Right,
or case
exactly.
law. So
So that was easy. Like the use of force game, that got ugly real quick because
yeah,
there are
there's more
certain
leeway
people,
there.
certain people in different hierarchies have this view where like if you identify the suspect in an offense and they simply just do not want to be arrested that day, that it's not worth the violence to apprehend them. If they say no, I'm not being arrested, they think you should say, oh well, okay, well you're going to be summoned in the next 90 days, so be aware.
Yeah.
Have a good day. And that's how they think the interaction should terminate.
Yeah.
And like just, I think like the three of us are like-minded in that like we don't like that kind of environment for our citizens that we serve.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
people are entitled to a certain level of justice, and if you can't deliver it to them, swiftly, then they lose faith in you. And when they lose faith in it, I think you actually inadvertently create more criminals that way than otherwise.
Yeah. When people commit crimes and they don't go to jail for it, then it just creates chaos.
And that's why, like, so had we not addressed the street racing thing, like, because I'm sure there's going to be naysayers out there that say that if we'd addressed it different ways, or different agencies address it with like a nonviolent approach, and they think that's the more advantageous way. But like, what they don't understand is that like, yes, it's not a homicide, it's not a robbery, but it's a fabric of society issue. And if the fabric of society frays more and more over time, eventually it's going to completely fall apart.
Yeah, and I wouldn't classify as nonviolent or violent. I would say that they more of a hands-off approach that other agencies have. It's like our approach was that like this is a crime that's being committed, and it's continuing. The less we enforce the law, the less like punishment or like less arrests that we make, the more it continues. And a lot of agencies look at it, and even ours, what they would do is they'd be like, oh, well, we're just going to identify that vehicle that was doing that, or those couple of vehicles. We'll figure out where they live. We'll write a search warrant, and then we'll go and we'll impound the car for 30 days. And, that'll show them. It's like, I mean, it's better than doing nothing, but it's kind of not that much better. It's because like nobody saw that happen.
Right.
Whereas I could talk about that for hours, but our approach was we wanted everyone to see it happen, specifically so that because you can't get them all, you can't even get most of them. Most of the people are escaping. Most of the people that have violated the law to the point to where we could arrest them, we know they're going to escape. Even when we bring 86 officers into the intersection, at least 90% of them are going to get away. However, if 90% of them get away, but they saw that the other 10% got arrested, they'd be like, maybe I don't want to go to that next one. And then that's what's going to get it to ultimately stop, is that they all see it happening. Now, if we went through and were able to identify the people, let them all do what they're going to do until they feel like leaving, and then 3 days later go and arrest a couple of people, like that's not going to have an impact.
And what you lose sight of there too is like, so in the 500 or so vehicles we see at a given intersection, like not all of them are, like, some of them are just trapped civilians on the way
That's
home.
true. Yeah.
Like, and that's
we would differentiate obviously between the people who unfortunately and that was the drive too, is a lot of those people become victims of crime. Like they protest this, they honk or say something, and then they get beat up and get robbed, and the car gets vandalized. So yeah, we obviously would definitely differentiate.
Yeah, no one got yanked out of their vehicle while they were wearing scrubs.
Yeah.
And had groceries in the back seat. They were allowed to leave, but
Yeah.
those are the, I guess the unsung victims of this whole thing, and they remain unsung. Like if you don't address it this way, and then their lives are disproportionately impacted the longer and longer this tends to occur, because they'd also, like street issues, they'd favor intersections of a certain size and structure. So like, Bakersfield's only so big. Like the same people are going to be victimized by this shit like over and over again.
Yeah.
Until it's
And like We had a problem, but there's other places that have a much worse problem. Like if you look at LA, and their takeover problem escalates to the point where there's like lots of violence that happens. There's lots of thefts and vandalism and other things that aren't even related to like the vehicle code violation. You can make the argument, it's like, well, if they're only going to be there for 20 or 30 minutes, like it's not that big of a deal if we just can't get traffic through. That's just a traffic problem, or we're having some extra congestion or whatever. But that's not it. Like the road where this leads, this is just total lawlessness. It leads to, like, again, like I said, like looting of the stores, and the vandalizing of other people's vehicles, and robbing of people and beating people up. And it goes down a road of like much more serious than just like it took me longer to get to where I was trying to go.
hmm
So,
And I have a lot of pride in our department in that we tend to favor action versus inaction more often than not when we approach certain things that that in other cities would just be total chaos.
mhm.
Like the retail theft thing, that's another big thing. Like we're one of the flagship agencies in establishing a retail theft unit and like going forth and like just saying no to something that other agencies have just tolerated as necessary evil for however long.
Yeah, since
Um,
2014.
yeah, and then also on the VCAT side too, like um, just the first step towards getting people in pocket after serious offenses. Like it's a nod towards action versus inaction. I like working for an organization where it seems to be the premier value.
Yeah.
And I think too, like all the stuff with the judgment, I think it's painted as super progressive in nature, from an outsider's perspective, but really they're like super small obstacles that get in the way of like an average officer doing their job. And like they can be overcome pretty easily. And, I don't like seeing the misconception take hold in young officers that like, oh, because this new policy is in place, it means I can't do my job anymore. It might mean you have to be more articulate,
Mm.
but that's a skill that can be taught, and it's actually one of the more easily teachable skills, considering you have 30 plus years to learn it. Um, but like I remember you'd always tell the shifts at the onset, don't be lazy and don't be a coward,
Mhm.
and those are the two. I think if you go into a day of law enforcement with that mindset, like you'll probably produce pretty beneficial results for yourself and like the community.
Yeah.
And really, if you boil it all down, any reluctance you might have to take part in like a new policy or do things a new way, it falls into one of those two categories. Like either I'm too much of a coward to take this approach and see how it works out for me, or I'm too lazy to learn to be articulate
Mhm.
and just adapt and overcome this new
Yeah.
method of operating. And I think we at the ground level or like the 6th lead level just need to learn that some shit you just got to take on the chin and work your way around it.
Mhm.
But there's not a whole lot of education that goes behind that. Like, because it's anything to say that, oh, you just need to be more articulate, but there's no posted class in the VPD hallway that says, oh, sign up to learn, report writing and dictation, in your off time. Like, it's just
Yeah.
kind of a free for all. Like, you learn it or you don't.
Yeah.
And like, Nick's class, and especially when you have RTOs that take 80% of your class time from you and make you eat dirt and
Yeah.
other manner of horrible shit.
Well, we wanted them to be fit and be able to shoot good.
Yeah.
It worked out for me.
Check that box. Oh, so then you were in QA for how long? Quality assurance,
About a year and a half.
and then
Then
you promoted.
Yeah, I promoted to detective for career purposes, and so I'm in general investigations right now, which is essentially every crime that like isn't severe enough to make it into one of the specialized units just goes in our
Mhm.
bin, right?
Yeah.
And so at any given time, like I'm doing like credit card fraud or petty vandalism, petty theft, and like it's kind of where you go to cut your teeth, like just to see if you could sink or swim.
Mhm.
And pretty used to having a lot of people be mad at me at
Mhm.
any given time. So it's a comforting feeling having all these like angry victims that want justice brought forth like in a timely fashion.
Mhm.
So you get a lot of angry voicemails, and then you're forced to tell a lot of people that you can't help them really like the way they want you to. So it's very much like you end up becoming like Jordan Belfort. Like you have a sales pitch on the phone, and like you're just going to send it no matter what. And they might be angry, they might be successful, but like just the pitch is the pitch, man.
Yeah.
And like this, just gotta send it. Just the Wolf of Wall Street.
And so also you're assigned to the SWAT team. How long have you been?
Oh, that would be coming up on 2 years. That I made that move kind of late in my career versus I think how really most cops make it.
Yeah.
But I think that was a good thing. There's definitely there's a maturity in decision making that comes with having been a cop, like
Mhm.
for X amount of years before taking on like the super tactical approach to decision making.
Yeah.
Which I still find myself getting impatient because sometimes we wait forever to do any one given thing. But
Mhm.
I couldn't imagine what impulsive 2-year cop Max would have done to wildly fuck up a SWAT scenario versus
Mhm.
like more aged and a bit more seasoned 10-year cop Max.
Mhm.
But yeah, the team is awesome. It's I think you've had guests on before that say the team isn't what they thought it would be. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be, which is just a bunch of alpha males just like either making gay jokes or like
Mhm.
it's and that's what I miss. Like
Talking
that,
about chicks?
yeah, of course.
Like never.
Yeah, it's very like I think you can make a game show out of it. Like I think it's been pitched on Instagram like, you get 50 straight men in an environment and tell them all that what was the pitch? Oh, you got to figure out which one's gay, but none of them are actually gay. That's essentially a SWAT practice in a nutshell. Is just assess each other's behavior and figure out who's most gay,
Mhm.
and then front them out for it. And then there's some problem solving and like some tactics.
Yeah, there's also training. And,
Yeah, there's some training, but yeah, and there's so many awesome I say awesome like it's a loose term, but like there's so many personalities involved with the SWAT team to have a lot of fun with, and I think if there's anything I've taken across all my life experiences from the Marine Corps onwards, it's just the ability to talk shit in a group environment.
Mhm.
And like,
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
it's a bit sad because like when you think of how
That's
you arrived
important.
at that skill, like you arrive at that skill by thinking that everyone who approaches you just has this mission to talk shit to you.
Yeah.
And you're immediately assessing them like physically, emotionally, say, okay, well, how can I talk shit better to this person if they come at me?
Mhm.
This was like social hardening.
Yeah.
But then you realize that like, had you not started making fun of everybody, they probably wouldn't have said anything at all, which I guess makes you a bully if you want to be all lame about it. But you know, like wit's a muscle, man. You got to train it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take a day off just because you can't hang.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also too, it's like it's kind of a test of if you can hack it. Like if you get made fun of, and then it's how do you respond to that?
Yeah.
Like the and if you can't hack it, or if you respond to it and like you get offended and you get upset, like
You just sign yourself up for some way worse shit. So
it's like
there
the
was
blood is in the water.
I remember. Has Steve been on here?
No, he's
Oh,
coming
so-
actually tomorrow.
Yeah,
one
he'll
of,
be
one of
he'll
our
be
range
here soon.
masters, Steve. He's a large Mormon fellow, and we've matured him a lot, I think, in the ways of shit talking. But like, he still doesn't curse at all, and but we'll get him there. But anyways, the joke whenever he would run the ranges for the academies, the overlying joke is always that Steve's mother is just like atrocious whore.
Mhm.
Like she's just done any number of like whorish activities in her days, and you know, at first he got offended, but came around to it, and then he'll even throw a joke. And mind you, we've never met his mother. Like this is completely false. She's probably a really sweet lady, but for the sake of joke making, she's the scapegoat. Like that's what it has to be. And so we all fire off jokes about Steve's mom, and he'll just be working on a rifle or working with a recruit, and he'll just take them in stride and laugh, and maybe even chime in on a couple of them. And then one day, someone brought a new perspective in, and they made a joke about his wife, who again, super sweet lady. And his reaction. So I remember he was cleaning the board with this rifle, and he goes, "Hey, come on now."
Yeah.
And he knew he fucked up like
Oh.
immediately. Like if he could have disappeared right there, he would have. But he just stared at the ground. And then like you see like the hair on the back of everyone's neck stand up, like, oh, this is a new thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, goodbye, Dorothy Ronfelt. Hello, Steve's wife. Like you're the butt of every joke for the next 10 minutes. And I just love watching like I like contributing to those those pile-ons.
Yeah.
And like if you see the SWAT group chat, like all it is someone will throw out one serious thing, like an update, like, hey guys, I got this training going on, or I need bodies for this demo. And like if you give it 4 messages, maybe 5, eventually someone's going to make fun of like the same 2 people. Like it doesn't matter how much of a tangent they have to take. They're going to relate the topic to either how stupid or gay like one of these 2 people are. And then it just descends into madness.
Pile
Like,
on. Yeah.
yeah.
You're 4 messages away.
like
from,
something as serious as like, I think you reached out in the group and said, hey, heard there was a plane crash this morning. One of our buddies may have been involved. Can someone confirm he's okay? And like, they didn't even address that one. They just went immediately to making fun of like,
making fun of Alan.
yeah, making fun of Alan. And then I think maybe two or three texts later, someone threw out, "Oh, hey, yeah, by the way, he wasn't in the plane crash. He's okay." But anyways,
Yeah, and then
and
back
just
to Alan.
yeah, back to Alan. And I think I know that by like general parenting standards, I should be against that kind of environment, like because I have kids or whatever.
Mhm.
But I think it's like 100% necessary, and I can't think of a better vetting process to like establish, because I think the two inevitabilities on the SWAT team are that you're going to end up in shitty situations, and in the situations you're going to have to wait and fill a lot of dead time. And if you're confronted with that, I know I said dead time, I mean like hours and hours of dead time. So it's not like the movies where like the second SWAT rolls on scene, shit just starts popping off.
Mhm.
Like you'll be there for 6 to 7 hours, and you can only talk tactics like so much,
Mhm.
like before you have it pretty well locked down, and that space still needs to be filled.
Yep.
Like, and you got to keep your wits about you. So the jabs start going around, or like on a given crime scene. Like I think humor is like my deflection mechanism,
Yeah.
and I think one of the reasons that you could argue whether or not my approach has been
It's because of the trauma.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
because of trauma. I can't say I have a successful approach because I guess time will tell how ultimately successful I've been in this job, but
Yeah.
I enjoy my job simply because like I surround myself with people that handle shit the same way.
Mhm.
And it's not that we don't know it's wrong. Like, we totally know it's wrong.
Oh
but
yeah, you can't look in the group chat.
no, I have, so like I think a therapist would call it compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
I have the same view on compartmentalization that like the liberals have on communism. It
Mhm.
totally works. It just hasn't been tried right yet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the one to prove it
Yeah.
right later.
Yeah.
Like I'm awesome at compartmentalizing and just bearing shit way down.
Yeah.
Um,
We speaking of the trash talk, I was on an op was it a week ago? You were out there when we did I won't say the agency we were working with, but we had to do some what do they
Short
call it?
hauling.
Short hauling. So that's where the helicopter comes in, and there's a line, and you hook it to your harness, and you and one other person, and they pick you up, and they fly you over somewhere, and then drop you off, and then, anyways, we were short hauling, and at the end of the day, we had to turn in the harnesses, but when you check the harnesses out, you had to like sign this roster, and me and Reagan go to turn in our harnesses, and I hand mine over and tell him my name, and Reagan hands his over, and he says, "Hey, this harness is this a game that was ongoing, but this person wasn't aware of it." But he says this harness has got Segundis on it, and like if you work around this, like you know what the joke is, right? It's like I know what's coming, and I'm like, "Oh no," and he's like, "What?" And yeah, Reagan's like, "Yeah, Segundi's nuts," and I'm like, like, the guy does not think it's funny at all, which is the worst thing you could do. So he gets like
Yeah.
mad, he gets offended,
Yeah.
which is again the worst response you could have, right? So then we go back over and they tell the rest of the guys what happened, and so Ruben and Colton go next to turn on their harnesses, and Ruben hands him the harness, and which one did he use? He used parody. He's like,
Yeah,
"Man,
yeah.
this whole thing, this is just a parody," and like the guy he's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, this is a parody. He's nuts." And like the guy gets all pissed off, and he looks at Colton, and he goes, "What's your name?" And because he's got the roster, and Colton goes, "Bob Oliver." He's looking at the roster trying to find it, and he's like, "Bob all over this dick," and then like, and then like, so he like gets all mad and he leaves, and then just it kept getting worse and worse. Then Brock goes over there, and Brock gets him with the Haywood. It's like, "Hey, it's Haywood harnesses," and then he's like, "Hey, would you blow me?" Anyways, so like we're like all laughing, and then like one of the guys comes over to ask something or say something. Reagan just fires up again. He's like, "Hey man, did you go a couple years ago? Were you on that Mind Goblin operation?" And like everyone knows what's coming, right? Except when it's like we're all sitting around like, oh, it's a tense moment. And he's like, "Oh no, I've only worked here for however long." And he's like, "Mind Goblin these nuts." And like, yeah, they're just a bunch of savages, and just so easily amused by those little dick and fart jokes.
but I think like when the big heads, get together and try to establish like what contributes to an officer having a long, successful career.
Mhm.
It's more like this shit than it is anything like wellness
Oh,
related
yeah.
or like
Oh, yeah.
like are we doing enough massage chair sessions for them? Like
Yeah.
like it's just gotta let the boys be boys. And
Yeah,
like
you
I
have
used
to be
to
able to laugh.
my favorite activities like in the morning. So when I was assigned a patrol, it's hard to remember what shift I worked because I worked overtime a lot, and I was around a whole bunch of different people for just hours on end. And when I finally would get home and get to sleep, I would either have like checked, like come off shift at like a weird time because something was like evolving as I was getting off, and I would just piece together what happened based on memes.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'd wake up to a group chat just full of memes, and I'm like backtracking through them, trying to figure out like through inferences like what actually happened. And I'm like, these fucking things are getting made like it's like 2 minutes after the incident.
Yeah. What's still happening?
Yeah, yeah. If you get fast enough, you can do them like while they're in progress.
And it's crazy too. So I go back to like I referenced law enforcement shows earlier in the podcast, and I don't know how they consistently find like the most boring people on
Mhm.
these shows. Because whenever I've been really fortunate. Whenever I've worked in like a 2-man capacity, that's like 9.5 hours of laughter, like any given shift, and the time is never dull.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really get impacted by like the type of calls you go to. In fact, like if you're willing to dabble in darkness like I am, like every call is just consistently more funny.
Mhm.
But I watch these shows, and it's such a disservice to law enforcement as a whole, because like if you just take that at face value, it looks like it's a bunch of morbid dudes with high and tights.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And slack-jawed accents. But like they don't get to see like the Noes of the world that like somehow made it to a veteran canine handler who can't speak fucking English. Like how his dog's ever bitten the right person's beyond me, because they can't understand what the fuck his handler is telling them.
It's because he's not speaking English. That's why.
Yeah.
Domestic terrorist. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about live streamers.
Oh yeah, those guys. I have a pretty bougie view of live streamers. It's just free camera time for me. You got to just
Oh,
embrace
tell
it.
them about Cops, the show.
Oh yeah, so when
You ever
Cops
talk
was in
about this?
town,
You talked about it a little bit, yeah.
Oh.
yeah, Cops came to town on our shift when
The
I was
show
assigned to
Cops.
patrol. Yeah, the show Cops, and
And not to our agency.
no, they came to the KCSO, and then there was like a spillover call at California and Union. They were just dogpiling on this dude who I think was on PCP.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
remember we had a plan before this happened. You and I were trying to get on the show.
Oh, that's right. And we were gonna just kind of bomb, I guess, like just bomb.
We're
kinda-
photobombing all those county calls.
yeah, because we had autonomy to kind of go wherever we wanted, and it ended up working. And we got hot mic'd during this 148 California Union, where there's like 13 deputies and officers mixed on this dude. Like he's just
Out of his
blown
mind.
out of his mind. Like,
Yeah.
and he's crawling like a slug with all these bodies on top of him. And one of the deputies made the not so bright decision to stand up and declare to everyone he's just going to pepper spray the whole mob.
Jesus.
That's right.
And like Travis and I became those two guys from the Muppets up in the balcony, like just heckling this dude for making a shitty decision. So all you hear from like camera left is like just us yelling at this dude, like in very colorful language, how bad of an idea that is. And the
Old move, Cotton.
yeah, the guy from Cops, the photographer, comes up to us and he has us sign releases. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why do you have to sign this? We can get us. So he's like, oh, I kind of hot mic'd you for saying X, Y, Z. It was like that Jane Silent Bob thing where he's reading the transcripts. Like, well, did you say quote unquote? What the fuck do you think you're gonna do with that pepper spray? First. But then I remember later on that night. Do you remember the wildlife creature we found
Yeah.
on the search warrant with them?
What was it called?
I don't
We
fucking
looked
remember,
it
but
up.
like, whenever
An animal? What was the animal called? Oh,
so
get-
the kids are
I
searching.
don't think so.
Brandon wrote a search warrant at this house. It was
Yeah.
a shooting or shots heard call. The guy went and there was a he hid the gun. I think it ended up being in the truck, but he was out of the house. He had to write a search warrant for the house. He had the guy detained, and we searched the truck, and he had this like. It was like those little bags you put clothing, like stuff for when you pack a suitcase, and there's like the little individual bags where you can put like your socks, your
Like a
underwear.
pencil pouch almost.
Yeah,
Okay,
just like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And it was like a mesh, you could see through it. And in this mesh bag was this little creature that
Oh
was like,
shit.
squirming around inside of it.
Like a fucking tree dweller, like squirrel family, like whatever the hell that.
Sugar glider? Probably.
I don't know what it was. It
No
was
idea.
similar, yeah, like you said, squirrel family, some sort
Yeah.
of tree rodent.
Whoa.
But like an exotic one, like
Yeah.
not one you'd find on the corner of a road in fucking Bakersfield.
It's probably a sugar glider. Those are like I feel like those are common enough to like have, but like it's considered exotic.
Yeah.
One of the cooler things ever uncovered in a vehicle search by far, and I really didn't give a fuck about the gun at that point.
Yeah, we got the gun, but also we found this creature.
Yeah, that alludes to something that happens to me a lot. Like I'll end up on a call and end up super interested in something that has nothing to do with the call,
Mhm.
which is weird when you have like subordinates that are counting on you to like be invested in it,
Mhm.
because it's like it's probably like the equivalent of watching your dad like go through dementia. because they're trying to solve like a legitimate law enforcement problem, and SP Max is over here like just fucked off, like investigating something that has nothing to do with the call, and I'm just making decisions kind of the corner. I'm like, yeah, whatever, just do that, leave me alone.
You did
Like-
that to me when was it me and Brandon went to this house with some lady who had scissors and she was like threatening her family, and we ended up tasing her. And then I think you came in like right after the fact, after we had her in custody. Almost was a shooting, but thank God it wasn't. And you're like, hey, make sure that you put like the proximity and the distance of like these freaking like some types of swords, like either a long sword or a samurai
It was
sword.
a rapier.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, a rapier. I'm like, I'm not putting the word rapier in my report.
That's all I wanted out of the whole thing.
That's
I
a
didn't
fencing
end up doing
sword.
it.
You didn't put rapier in the report?
No.
Yeah, that's all I wanted out of the whole thing, which is for someone to reference the rapier that was on scene.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he failed that one big time.
Dang.
He's all worried about levying charges and shit.
Yeah. God forbid.
Or like on the homicide scene where we did a deep dive into Mexican cuisine and like what snacks can be made with cream cheese and Takis.
Oh yeah, yeah. Cream cheese and Takis. That's what you're talking about our taco spot.
Also, if we're gonna talk about that story, we gotta talk about Sean and the door.
Oh, yeah.
that poor guy.
So there was a homicide, and it's a tragic scene. Like this woman's dead on arrival, and we lock the scene down, and like the incipient investigation begins, and a crowd starts forming on the opposite side of like the caution tape, like that we've established, and it's mainly just a bunch of onlookers, like they're just curious about what's going on in their street. And then this whole time we've been working in the street and haven't really taken into account that like this woman belongs to this house, and we haven't really paid enough attention to the house yet. And someone on the other side of the tape is a family member of this deceased woman and is yelling for us to check the welfare of her daughter, who we didn't know was even on scene. It turned out she was taking a nap. But
In the house, yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, we decide we have to force entry to this house, and I tasked an officer with booting down the door. And in hindsight, I could have picked a more stout officer, like with more capability. But so you have a whole crowd, like I said, of onlookers that are watching us and everything we do. And this little guy is just getting his absolute ass kicked by this door. Like he's kicking it and kicking it and kicking, and it will not force open. And it's kind of like that frustration you get like at mini golf, like when you just can't get the ball in the hole.
Yeah.
And the world goes quiet around you, and the frustration kind of
Like,
mounts.
hurry up and get it.
And I interject on this kid who's like breathing hard at this point. I'm like, hey, Sean, just why don't you just let me do it? And at this point, he's being heckled by like people in the crowd and everything. Like he's getting called all sorts of names. And,
Yeah, I was standing right next to the crowd, and they're just yelling at him, just like, "Get in the house! What are you doing?"
and it was like
What's
a
taking
pickle
so
jar
long?
moment. I tried to give him like his pickle jar moment because I boot the door and it just splinters off its hinges. But I tried to give a nod to him to the guy, like, hey, thanks for loosening it for
You
me,
loosened
Sean.
it for me, yeah.
Yeah, you got me 90% of the way there. And he got all the heckling at that point. But
Yeah, that was an ugly one.
She ended up being okay.
Yeah, she was fine.
yeah.
Yeah. So, do we want to talk about live streamers?
Oh shit!
Just got sidetracked with the
we
cops
hardly,
thing.
Yeah,
We hardly addressed that. No,
When I-
live streamer. So
Showed up on the cops episode. I thought that those were intense live streamers until I saw their media.
yeah,
badges.
because they had a sound boom and everything.
Yeah,
I
they
was
had
like, damn, these guys are
big,
fucking.
big camera. They were like over the top of it. Yeah, with a boom mic. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember I think we almost like intervened, or I wanted to, because like a guy has a boom mic over my shoulder, and that's pretty bold for a live streamer. So I turned around to like get in his face, but they're wearing like the actual. It's just like a T-shirt that says cops, and I did the quick math in my head and thought, oh, that's right, they're here for a legal reason. But the live streamers, we have a good coexistence, I think, at this point by now. Like they've learned where their lines are drawn, and at least the older, more established ones, they don't typically do too much to piss us off anymore. But like the First Amendment auditors, their entire goal is to piss you off. So like they evolve their level of thinking, and like the calmer you are when you interact with them, the more they just want to get under your skin. And I remember they got me at SWAT practice one day.
Oh,
And like I said, like I portray I'm the archetypal knuckle dragger. Like if you don't hear me speak or you don't know anything about me, like I look like the biggest idiot in the world. So they probably just salivated when they saw me. Like, oh, this guy's gonna fuck it big time. So the guy asked me, he's like, They typically ask like, "Hey, do you know the First Amendment? Can you recite it?"
Well, they start with they ask your name and badge number, not because they really care. I think it's like a test question.
Yeah,
Yes,
like, oh,
yeah.
is this
What
guy
your
gonna?
response to
It's a
that
feeler
is?
question
It's
for
a feeler
sure.
question.
Yeah.
It's not like
and
take note of it.
I told him because like it doesn't
Yeah, you're
matter.
just
Like,
like,
you know, fuck if you want to get me in trouble, all you need to do is just describe me to the OIC. They're gonna know exactly who I am.
Yeah.
So, but then he asked, it's typically a two-part question. It's like, do you know the First Amendment? And like, yeah. And then I said, well, will you
the
recite it?
fire protections.
And I told him, he's like, do you know the First Amendment? And I was like, yeah. He's like, will you recite it for me? And my answer was something new. I was like, no, you don't tell me what to do. And he was kind of stumped, like, oh, well, do it. And I was like, no, you don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Which like that is, you know, I can fall back on that. Like he doesn't have autonomy over what I do on this job. But yeah, it's a little that can be a go-to if you're ever on the receiving end of First Amendment orders. Like you don't have to answer their questions, like aside from the name and badge number thing, because there's no professional purpose for interacting with them. They just want to try to embarrass you.
Yeah.
And where most cops go bad is they let them get under their skin, and they either want you to prove them right and prove you don't know the First Amendment and its protections, or just completely lose your shit. Which, like, as funny as that is after the fact, it's probably not that enjoyable if you're the dude who lost his shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they blasted my photo and said something about steroids and some other stuff. So that's cool. Everybody wins.
Yeah, you were a thumbnail. That's right.
Yeah, I was a whole on thumbnail, which works. I'm only like 2 seconds of the actual video.
Very good thumbnail though.
Yeah, that's a good thumbnail. A lot of clickbait in that one.
Auditors. Yeah. What else? Do you have any questions for Max?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, Max, you got anything else to add?
I don't know how you typically close these things out. I'm getting paid for all this, right?
Yeah. You're getting paid as much as Nick.
Yeah, you get 20% of zero, still zero.
Yeah.
No, I didn't prepare like a closing argument, but like I think as people continue to watch this show, I hope it evolves into like a bigger platform. But like there's just so many more, like, tune in, because there's so many more stories out there that like not just shed light on like the day-to-day law enforcement, but like when I say it'll gain appreciation, not necessarily like the kind of cheesy way, like, oh, you know, I didn't realize what these guys go through. Like there's a lot that we go through that's actually pretty badass, and the way we deal with it's probably even more badass. And there's an entertaining quality to law enforcement that I don't think people get to see a lot of. So these stories really help like put that on the forefront. And there's really not a platform that does that yet. So long as, you know, Nick doesn't go the way of suck starting his own pistol here soon,
You can't say that on YouTube.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll bleep it out.
Which part?
Yeah, exactly. I have people all the time where I'm like, I'll say something and then I'll watch it and I'm all bleeped out. I'm like, what?
What
Exactly.
about brushing his teeth with a Glock? A floss bird.
He's in the front sight as a pick.
Yeah. Front side toothpick.
Like a tooth and nail on that front. So, all right. Well, Max, thanks for coming out and talking to us.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you everyone for listening, and stay frosty.